This Olympics, there are high hopes for a Kiwi sprinter whose star is on the rise in an event New Zealand doesn't often feature in.
In lane 5, fastest ever run in Australia, New Zealand record holder at 10.96. Please welcome Zoe Hobbs.
And strong expectations for another Olympian where we're asking how many golds.
She's New Zealand's sporting superstar. Dame Lisa Carrington is our most successful Olympian.
Nothing less than you would expect.
Lisa Carrington, Olympic champion.
Another gold.
A record haul of 5 gold medals and 15 World Championship titles. Now she has the Paris Games in her sights.
But what if they come fourth? For Zoe Hobbs, it would be a huge achievement just to get to that 100 metres glory final, with the Post's sports reporter Tony Smith saying it's such a blue-ribboned event that it would be as good as gold in some other codes. For Dame Lisa, fourth would be more than a disappointment. It would be registered as a disaster. A centimetre, a second, a slip of the foot, a fatal hesitation. Sometimes that's all there is between coming home a hero and coming home as the Olympian who tried. But it's not an exclusive club. New Zealand athletes or teams have finished fourth 51 times in an Olympic final. I'm Alexia Russell, and today on The Detail, we look at 2 Olympic athletes who've experienced the agony and frustration of just missing out on a medal. And it happened to both of them twice. They are former Black Sticks captain Kayla Whitelock, who's off to Paris to support Oceania athletes, and legendary shot putter Val Young.
For New Zealand, it became known as the Golden Hour. Few in the world had heard of Peter Snell before the final lap of the 800 metres.
Snell is in there on the rail, but he can't get out at the moment as they come around the curve. And Snell's on the inside. He may have difficulty getting through here.
If you watch the video of this famous 1960 race in Rome, where Peter Snell takes gold, you'll see a young woman in a black tracksuit in the inner field. She's jumping up and down with excitement as Snell rounds the bend. Then less than an hour later, you catch another glimpse of her skipping with joy.
3 to go, and there's Hellberg going out in front now, and he's going away with a terrific burst. Hellberg comes out of the back straight.
Murray Hellberg wins the 5,000 metres.
Well, I was on the same day or same afternoon as Hellberg and Snell and me, and the way it worked is that the organisation provided a van to get us from our village over to the stadium. And because we were on reasonably close, the time-wise, I was in the van with Peter and Arthur Lydiard because he was the athletic coach. I do remember small talk, I suppose, but then Arthur said to Peter, "You're on first, Peter, so you'd better give it everything you've got because it'll be no good afterwards because Murray's going to win his race and you don't want to be also ran." More or less along those words.
What a motivator.
Yeah, exactly. That's a long time ago.
And that was an Olympics that you came fourth.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I had 2 Olympics where I came fourth.
So in the Golden Hour, I was reading Angela Walker's story about you in the newsroom, and I didn't know that the person who came third, the American who came third, had asked, because there was so much commotion in the stadium.
Yes, that's true.
Tell me about that.
Well, I had my shot because if you know anything about throwing events, when you come to the final 3, you get 6 throws, and when you come to the final 3, they rank you so that the ones with the better marks can do their thing last. So they have that opportunity to either, still throw well, but when it comes to their turn, they know exactly where the field is and what they can achieve. And because my first 3, I think I was third, and I had my final shot, and I was still third. And then, of course, Murray Hellberg was on the track at that time, and there was such a commotion that Earlene Brown, who came after me, who was running fourth at that time, she came after me and said to the officials, "Can you please can I delay Maya until this race is finished? And they said yes. So she came out of the circle and waited around. So because I'd finished all my throws, I was down at the top end of the track yelling for Murray because we had our shot in the middle of the arena.
Wow. So by 1 inch, you missed out on the bronze medal.
I did.
Was it worth it to have been there in that golden hour?
Well, looking back, it was a very special day for the New Zealand athletes. I mean, getting into a final of an Olympic event is special.
Yeah.
But not quite as special as you get a plaque. You get a big plaque to say that's where your position was. But not quite the same as getting on up the steps.
But we suspect now that Val probably wasn't throwing on a level playing field.
18.14 metres, a new Olympic record by the Rome gold medal winner.
She was beaten by athletes from East Germany and the USSR, including Tamara Press, who abruptly retired when sex verification testing was introduced in 1966.
And what we had to do was, instead of taking a blood sample, which you do now, I think unless they've changed the system, we were put into a chair and stripped of our underwear, our pants, and just pushed back in the chair, and the chair went back, and an official said, yes, she's a female, and then we got changed.
How charming.
They did that with all the females to prove that we weren't males.
And that's when some of your competition disappeared, right?
Yes, they did. The Press sisters disappeared, but they said their mum was ill, so that was the reason why.
So if, say if it had been, these days, like with Val Adams, where the Belarusian was disqualified and she was promoted to gold, in theory, in Rome you would have got silver, and the next year you would have got gold.
Oh, you never know, do you?
Do you think about that? Does it still worry away at you?
No. It's a long time ago, and when I talk about that day or whatever, it's just the way it was.
Many years later, at London in 2010, another famous shot-putting Val lost gold to a drugs cheat. But her case ended differently. She's forever in the records as the winner.
I've been done over myself because of drug cheats, and I have competed against Russian drug cheats myself at the start of my career and in the middle of my career. So I think this is an issue where Russia needs to realise, and the rest of the world needs to realise, that this is some serious shit and they've got to clean up their act. And it's unfair for the clean athletes outside of that country who are having to fight against this.
Actually, it was Dame Valerie Adams who broke Val Young's national shot put record from the Tokyo Olympics of 17.26 metres, a record that stood for a staggering 38 years. Meanwhile, back in 1960 in Rome, there was an after-party for Snell and Hellberg, but Val didn't go.
No, I didn't.
Because you didn't feel like it, or because you weren't supposed to?
Yes, I was a bit sad, I suppose. I might have been asked and said no, but I cannot remember that.
How long do you think it took you to kind of swallow your sorrows and get back on?
We have to swallow them the next day, because I did have a discus was it the next day or whenever?
Right.
I had another event.
But shot put was your favourite one?
Yeah.
Hard yards, isn't it? The fourth.
Oh, well, that's life. That's if you want to compete, you want to see the world, which is what we did. There was no flying here and there and for indoors and all that sort of jazz. And the things you see, I mean, like in Italy, it was just so amazing. In Rome, going through the Basilica, and gee whiz, Bing Crosby there, and anybody. But of course, you're not supposed to be walking around too much. Save your legs.
But you did anyway.
Yeah, well, occasionally.
And you've got a fistful of Commonwealth Games medals. But would you trade them all for one Olympic medal?
Oh, I don't think so.
No.
They're all my history. They're all my where was I then, or what did I do then?
For some other fourth place getters, there was a redemption moment down the track. Cyclist Sarah Ulmer, for instance, disappointment in Sydney, elation in Athens.
An amazing moment for Sarah Ulmer. The world record 326.4. She's going to be the Olympic champion. Take a bow, Sarah Ulmer, in the front straight, and the world record may fall as well. It will! What a moment!
Rower Emma Twigg, fourth in both London and Rio, cracked it in Tokyo.
Emma Twigg, all the expectation was swirling around the Kiwi. And wins the gold!
Good things take time, and it sounds like I have to say that because it took me 4 Olympics to achieve my goal.
The Black Sticks hockey women also came fourth at both London and Rio, but one of those placings was a victory for how far the team had come. The other was a disappointment after hopes of redemption were dashed. The captain of both teams was Kayla Whitelock, Kayla Sharland as she was in London. She says going to the 2012 Games, the expectations on the team were fairly low.
I reckon our target would have been top 6 going into the Games to get, I guess, match the best that any other team had done before in the women's. But yeah, from 2008, so when Mark came on board, we started to have a lot of firsts. So we started winning Oceania Cups, beating Australia.
That's Mark Hagar you're talking about?
Yeah, Mark Hagar. So we started winning medals at key events, and then we got a silver at Commonwealth Games. And yeah, I guess we started to match it with some of the top teams. Like we were getting closer to the top teams. We'd beat Argentina every now and then and that kind of thing. So a few of us went overseas to Holland and played over there and got a little bit of taste of, I guess, what hockey's like over there. And I guess brought that back into the side as well. But yeah, going into it, we were tracking pretty good, but we were the unknown, kind of came out of nowhere.
A pre-Olympic tournament in Europe didn't raise hopes either, but the first match of the London Games saw the Black Sticks stun Australia. It set the country alight.
In all the previous games that I'd been to, we'd lost that first game, and we kind of talked about that probably going into London as like getting off to a good start. Like once you've got one under the belt, you can just continue on from there. And so we probably really targeted that first game. And in London, it was a different setup. So it was top 2 from the pool went through, so it wasn't quarterfinals. So I guess we progressed pretty well through the pool stages. And it was our last pool game, I think, against Germany. And I thought we actually needed to win the game, but a draw was good enough to get us through to the top 2. I was tearing down the field with the ball, down in the other corner, and I just stooped over my sticks thinking, and everyone was excited, and I was like, I started questioning them, are you sure? Are you sure? And then I think I doubted them, started to doubt the people that actually knew, because I hadn't worked all of that out. I just thought we needed to win, and I was just, going hard. So yeah, and then when they said no, we're in top 2, because there was a controversial penalty corner actually that the Germans did, and we actually saw them practicing it in training, and they did it, and they thought they'd scored a goal, but it wasn't legal. So yeah, we were on top of that one in that game. So yeah, pretty lucky to come away with the draw, really, and to knock out Germany, really, which would have been, they were probably one of the top ones in the pool.
It was the first time New Zealand had made it to the semi-finals at an Olympic Games.
Top 4, yeah.
And then you play off against the Dutch.
The reigning women's hockey champions, the Netherlands, made it to the final, but they were pushed close by New Zealand, who'd caused a surprise by qualifying from Pool B ahead of Germany. New Zealand took the lead early in the first half when Kayla Sharland scored from his penalty.
Well, it was a 2-2 draw at the end of regulation time. It must have been so frustrating to lose that.
Yeah, for sure. And the way it went out, in shootouts is never an easy way to, I guess, lose a game. But to be fair, we had one of the best games we've probably ever played. Against the Dutch. No one would have expected us to even get close to a draw against the Dutch. And the crowd was unreal. I just remember the atmosphere. You literally could not hear your teammates on the field. You were all just eye contact the whole game because that's how loud the crowd was. And it was pretty much all orange, the speckles of black in the crowd. So, and it was very hot. I think it was a 2:00 game in the middle of the day, and it was obviously you did extra time then too, so it wasn't just straight to shootout. So it was a pretty draining match, pretty physical match, and to be so close and then to let it go on obviously shootouts, that was pretty tough to take.
Do you think you left it all on the floor for the next game, which would have actually decided if you got a medal or not?
I think so. We I think I had drug testing straight after that game, and I remember a couple of the Dutchies that we'd played with, they were in Holland with, and they were shocked. They were like, "Man, you guys have got really good." Over a short period of time, like they were shocked they won, and they were pretty happy they got through that game. But I think energy-wise, I think just the whole emotion of it. We didn't back up that same performance in the third and fourth match against GB, and I guess with GB being at home, their home crowd, and they just got right in behind them.
It's bronze for Britain. It's more heartbreak for the Blacks.
Great Britain made the most of their home advantage to clinch the bronze medal in women's hockey. They beat a New Zealand team that had suffered a narrow and draining shootout defeat against the Netherlands in the semi-final.
Just really disappointed. It wasn't a good performance by us, and obviously GB played better and they put away the opportunities and we didn't, so disappointed.
What will you take away from these Olympics?
I think we've learnt a lot, both as a team and as players. This is probably the worst feeling I've ever had in my hockey career, so definitely, just next time we get a chance to play in such an intense competition, remember this, how it feels, and hopefully it won't happen again.
They played well and we didn't, and I guess that's what happens in those tough medal matches.
So the result was fourth. How immediately after, what was the team's state of mind?
We were all pretty gutted, I think. I certainly was. I think it's really hard to get 16 players to perform every single match, and I think for majority of obviously that tournament we did that, and we did blow away the world of hockey. I guess it really set the scene for the Black Sticks, and I guess people took notice of us and actually wanted to play us, because that was always the struggle. We could never play the top 6 teams, A, because we're so far away, cost so much to get overseas, but B, they just saw us as a minority, I guess. So in that sense, it was really special. I think afterwards, when you look back on it, once time settled, you reflect back on it and go, oh, well, that was pretty good, but shit, how close were we,
Yeah, so how much distance did you need to start getting philosophical about it instead of just sad?
Yeah, a lot of us went travelling, so that was a good little, being over in London, it's kind of the perfect spot to carry on travelling. So me and Emily, my best mate, and Mal, we went travelling for a good 1 or 2 weeks. So that was pretty cool. It was good just to down, I guess, because it's a real downer when you come out of the Olympic Village. Like, you've been in this pretty amazing bubble, and then all of a sudden, you're kind of isolated or by yourself, and it's just back to reality. So that was really cool and special to do that with those two. And then obviously getting back, probably missed a bit of the reception of what was going on back home. Like when talking to other players who obviously weren't involved in the team or just coming through the ranks, how much, I guess, media attention it actually grabbed while we were away. Like, I think someone said it was like darlings of the nation, or something along those lines was one of the headlines, and how much obviously London captured the New Zealand public for hockey. When you're in it, you don't really see it, I guess.
The Black Sticks came out of the London Games with their highest world ranking ever of 3rd, which they hovered around for the next few years. Then to Rio and some unfinished business.
To get so close in London, it hurts. It still is quite a painful thing, and it's going to drive a lot of us to get to, make that next step up. It's not easy, it's Olympic Games. The amount that people step up for those games is huge. So I don't think it's going to be an easy challenge, but I think it's one that we definitely can achieve.
Black Sticks speedster Anita Punt, she's McLaren now.
Inside, I have got a lot still to give. To come away with a medal would be fantastic. I know we've got that belief in our group that we can achieve it. For us to get that medal would be amazing.
We wanted to obviously medal, that was the goal. And yeah, I thought we had a pretty talented group to be able to do that at those games.
But it was not to be.
I'm going to cry. I don't cry. Bad as Kayla.
Pretty tough, Mark.
Yeah, it's tough, it's just...
Especially a repeat of London.
Oh, it is, it hurts so much after, people like Kayla come back and, you see how she plays and you just wish our whole team, emulated how she played and, I felt like I let her down.
It's funny in hindsight, like afterwards and at the time, I thought we played quite poorly in that game. But on reflection, on looking back at the games, we actually started really well and had an opportunity to score really early a couple of times, but we missed those opportunities. And then they just piled on the pressure really and got some pretty quick concession goals. And then it was all over again. We were back to that lost in the semi-final and not the best way, I don't think.
So another fourth. And in hindsight, what was the difference between those two?
London, obviously, we broke onto the world stage and a bit of a shock to get into that top four. The expectation probably from the general public and within ourselves was we wanted to make the top four again. And we beat Aussie quite convincingly, I think, in that quarter final and then progressed through. So the main difference for me, what I feel we didn't learn from 2012, we didn't go over it enough to feel comfortable enough in that scenario again. I feel like we probably, sometimes when you try and forget about it and park it, but actually on reflection, we actually needed to go into detail and actually talk through it as a group and work out processes and be ready for it, like take it on. We almost looked scared from the opportunity rather than walking towards it. So right. That was a big learning curve for me, which actually didn't come until after I tried to come back before Tokyo, because my sports psychologist said to me, you need to go back and watch all those games and go through it in detail. And that's the one thing I wish we had done as a group going through to Rio.
Well, one of two things Kayla wished she'd done earlier.
I probably wish I'd personally got a sports psychologist earlier and just been able to work through those kind of things and just that awareness of it, really. Because when I sat down and watched the games in full, my perception of what I had the games were like was completely different to the reality of what they were like.
But there are worse things than coming fourth at an Olympics.
The Blackstreaks women, the first to admit, coming back was tough. Now about to face Japan in their first series since failing to qualify for the upcoming Paris Olympics. The first time missing from the Games in 28 years.
And I'm sure a lot of the players, the women's team who obviously haven't qualified, would love to be there. I look back on Beijing where we came last and I was devastated after that, but I was still there. We were still in the top 12, and to not be going is going to be pretty tough.
By the way, Kayla thinks the Black Sticks men in Paris are worth watching this year, saying they're sneaking under the radar like the women did in 2012. They might surprise a few teams. That's all for today. The Detail is a newsroom production supported by RNZ and New Zealand On Air. This episode was engineered by William Saunders and produced by Gwen McClure. Thanks to Val Young and Kayla Whitelock. I'm Alexia Russell. Bring on the games.